Hello? Hello. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Shook-Talley, and I am the Wellness and Recovery Manager at the Behavioral Health Care Division. And on behalf of the Behavioral Health Care Division and the Department of Human Services, along with Peers Helping Peers in Recovery, I would like to welcome you all to this very special program as we celebrate National Recovery Month. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So I'd now like to invite up Anita Friedman, who's our Director of Human Services, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I just want to welcome everyone tonight, and it's especially admirable with such a rainy night that you all were able to come here. This is actually my favorite event of the year because this is a time where I feel like we're a community. We come away from the offices, we come away from the formal sessions, and we gather together and we enjoy each other's company, break bread, and then we hear some wonderful, inspiring stories about life and the journeys that different individuals have taken with the ups and downs. And the beauty of those experiences really comes out. And it's very inspiring and uplifting and, and humbling that people are willing to share that part of themselves with us. So before we even get started, thank you for those people who are going to be sharing tonight. We really appreciate it. And I also just want to recognize Elizabeth Strook, who is the recovery specialist, the recovery manager for our Department of Human Services. She's an incredible woman with an incredible story herself, who is like a beacon of light for all of us and constantly inspires us with hope for a better life. So thank you, Elizabeth. And I have the honor of welcoming Katie Crystal, who's the chair of the Arlington County Board, to come up. And I just want to say Katie Crystal is another incredibly inspiring person. And aside from having to have big shoulders and bear the burden of making very difficult decisions, she accompanies us in these times of celebration and in times of being by our side when we have a lot of important and meaningful things to do in this community. And I really appreciate it. So thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much. Oh. Thank you, Anita, and thank you, Elizabeth, for including me in the evening. Thank you to all of you, actually. It's such an honor to be here. And I should say on behalf of all of my colleagues on the county board, it's an honor for all of us to celebrate National Recovery Month and celebrate you all and your accomplishments. In this room, we represent the many millions of Americans whose lives have been changed and transformed by recovery. And too often those stories, they could go unnoticed by the broader public. But Recovery Month, National Recovery Month, provides an opportunity to celebrate these accomplishments, to highlight the inspiring stories of people who come from all walks of life, whose lives have been touched along the path to hope and health and recovery. And Arlington's National Recovery Month event, this event, the opportunity to gather here at Busboys, is important because it increases awareness, which is really of paramount importance in our community for all of us, to be cognizant and aware not only of the ways that mental and behavioral health needs touch our loved ones in our broader community, but of the many services available to survivors of these challenges as they continue on their journeys to recovery. This is a priority. Recovery is a goal for individuals. It's a priority for us as a community, a way of investing our resources and supporting one another on these journeys that we represented tonight, particularly through the stories and talents of individuals in recovery. I'm really looking forward to hearing them and really just want to recognize, as others have, the bravery of those individuals. So thank you all for coming out tonight. And I do want to take a moment and really thank and make sure, actually ask you all to join me in a round of applause for the Arlington Department of Human Services Behavioral Healthcare Division and the staff that are here. Along with our Community Services Board, they are not only putting on the event tonight, but many of them and their hard work is behind some of the stories we'll hear as well. So thank you again, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you, Ms. Crystal, for being here with us and for representing the county board. And Anita, thank you so much for your kind words and all of your support with our clients, our staff, and just recovery in general. So the Behavioral Healthcare Division at Arlington County provides comprehensive mental health and substance use services to adult residents of Arlington County, including case management, therapy, emergency and psychiatric services, and much more. Please see the back of your program to access our services, and there are some brochures on the table. Now, as you came in, you may have been greeted by some of the staff from one of our contractors, who's our partnering organization for this program, which is Arlington's Peer Run Recovery Center. Arlington Peers Helping Peers in Recovery is a safe, stigma-free place for those experiencing mental illness, substance use, and homelessness. The center is run by peers or people who have lived experience with mental health or substance use disorders. The center helps people overcome challenges in a welcoming and supportive environment that emphasizes recovery. This service complements the services that the Behavioral Health Care Division provides. And there's also more information on the back table about their program. So when we speak about recovery in terms of mental health and substance use, we hear different meanings, and I often hear that it's not entirely clear. What we do know is that recovery is different for everyone, as we are all on our own journey. We also know it's not a linear process. So the definition that is widely accepted by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, states that recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. You know, I think that reaching our full potential is really what many of us are striving for. Those of us who deal with mental health and substance use issues are no different from those without in terms of what we want out of life. Each year, Recovery Month invites individuals in recovery to share their personal stories and successes in order to encourage others. This can help break down the barriers that have led to so much stigma and discrimination for too many years. Tonight is an attempt to diminish this and to see people as the individuals they are and not their diagnoses. In order to help better understand recovery, tonight we're going to start with a short film titled "This is Recovery." The film was produced by our regional recovery group, which is part of the Virginia Recovery Initiative, funded by the state, or which is Virginia's Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. I've had the privilege to be able to be a part of the team that produced this film. So tonight is actually its debut. We will hear from a psychiatrist who shares what the old recovery model was and what the new model is. And you'll hear from 5 individuals from Northern Virginia, including one from Arlington. And then following our film, we will get to the highlight of our event, which is hearing from our presenters. I do want to make the disclaimer that some of the things you will hear this evening may be difficult to hear, but these are people's stories of recovery, and sharing the truth is what makes it so important. Thank you.
So when we talk about recovery, I think sometimes the best way to start is to compare and contrast it to older models and older ways of thinking about these issues. And when we think about what preceded a more recovery-based way of thinking, we could describe that particular style as being more unidirectional. It was more about the doctor, the therapist giving a recommendation, giving a suggestion, and then the person would be expected to hopefully follow that suggestion. Therefore, it was less collaborative, and the focus primarily was on symptom control and symptom management, and that really was seen as, I think, the main priority. The recovery model really expands the frame. So now we're not just talking about a person and his or her symptoms. Now we're talking about how that person connects to other people and how that person connects to the world around him. And moving beyond symptoms, what I describe as the top of the pyramid in the recovery model is really what I call functional recovery, which has a lot more to do with work and school and relationships and what can you do to really, again, bring a lot more dimensions to your life. So recovery, I think, really incorporates more of the idea of a full personhood rather than simply somebody who's suffering with a particular set of symptoms. And in addition to that, I would describe it as a lot more collaborative. So it's less unidirectional and much more of a discussion, a collaboration, a conversation even between the person who's at the center of the recovery effort and all of the people that are supporting them in moving forward. There is often a sense people have explained to me of losing sight of sort of who they are, what they're about, and in that sense, the establishment or the reestablishment or the recovery or redefinition of an identity can be very important. Sometimes in the process of being ill, that can get lost.
I knew something was wrong when my depression became absolutely debilitating.
I wasn't talking, I was isolating myself, I was acting strange.
I set out this one day to seek revenge on everybody that did me wrong or took advantage of me.
I stopped caring about myself, I stopped caring about my friends, I stopped caring about my family members, I stopped caring about strangers, I stopped caring about everything.
I first knew something was wrong in my life when I was facing down multiple felonies and many years in prison.
I was in a place where I was drinking to cope. I turned to drugs. I actually lost my condo, couldn't pay the mortgage payments anymore because I lost my job.
Then behind closed doors is when the depression come in and the thoughts of suicide or hurting someone. It just, it was just wearing me down. And I had to stop myself. So I shot myself in order to stop myself from hurting other people.
The recovery model is predicated on the idea and really the fact that people can recover. So it's important when we speak of recovery and treatment in a recovery frame that we see a hope, that we see the possibility of recovery, that we even see the likelihood of recovery.
I first found hope in the recovery community. It was the first time I had met a group of people that thought like I did and felt the way I did. And they showed me that there was a better way to live.
A lot of people held hope for me until I could find hope in myself. And it was, while I really hated them for it at the time, my family were the ones who really started my road to recovery.
I found hope in a hallucination, actually. It was a very spiritual hallucination. To me, it was the spirit of my grandmother as a hummingbird telling me to hang in there.
Hope was brought to me by others, whether I've been family and friends at the time, whether it was even maybe a doctor or a nurse. They instilled hope in me.
It's more than a group to me. It's like a family, because it's things where I can go there and discuss with my other group members that I can't talk to anybody else.
But I would always see people walking around smiling and laughing, and Trillium was a place where there were other individuals that had a mental illness or disability. and I began to want what they had. I wanted to have that smile. I wanted to have that little bit of joy. So that's where I found my hope.
You know, the idea here is that everybody has something to bring to the table. And whether it's a talent, a strength, even just a personal quality, these are the things that become extremely important in recovery, because rather than a sole focus on what's going wrong, there also is a real effort to understand what is going right, what could be going right, and what that person's qualities are that we could perhaps help to support so that they can grow in the directions that they want to grow in.
I decided to take an active role in my recovery when it was pointed out to me that I would start feeling better if I started helping other people that had similar problems to the ones I did with substance use disorder.
Was actually after my mom died of leukemia. Met another person who was a peer recovery specialist. She told me, she said, if you can't do it for you, do it for her.
My main motivation was a lot of people thought that I would fail. So I just wanted to show, them that I could do this.
The medications have helped me tremendously, and by taking the medication, it alleviated some of the pain. Knowing that the pain can be alleviated motivated me to go forward.
Having hope that I could still chase my dreams, no matter what has happened to me or how old I was, or what challenges stood in my way or what circumstances I found myself in.
The people that I had around me didn't push me, but they encouraged me. The more they encouraged me, the more it gave me an inner power, and an inner strength to want to improve.
Recovery is much more of a collaborative process. It's more of a conversation, a dialogue with the person who's recovering sort of at the center, and the people that are helping him or her to recover kind of engaged with that person.
Being in charge of my recovery enables me to have the dignity of failure and the dignity of risk. Being allowed to make mistakes and being able to be forgiven for them. Everyone deserves second chances. I don't see why I should be any exception.
To be in the driver's seat of my own recovery, to me, means that I look on every moment as an opportunity for growth, whether that be a challenge or a celebration.
I can determine which way my life will go.
I'm in control of myself, my actions. I want to take control of my recovery, whether it be working with my therapist, working with my doctor.
I feel like I'm in control of my destiny. I feel like I can pursue my passion and do what I want with my life.
I do have challenges every day, but I find that my journey is now mine, and I have a choice and a chance to make a difference in how I press forward.
In order to recover, it's helpful for somebody to be connected to themselves, to others, to people in their life that they can trust, who are supportive to them. It could be friends, family, care providers, whoever it is. And often, connectedness can even extend and transcend personal relationships into connecting to something greater than oneself. And many people in recovery speak of that as well.
The healthiest thing to do in early recovery, my experience has been, is to put a little bit of distance between myself and my family of origin, and just learning to love them from a distance a bit until I can get the support I need from the recovery community.
My relationship is with my family and a friend. They're behind me 100%, because they know the type of person that I am and what I'm capable of doing. So they only want to see me do good.
I enjoy having people in my life. I don't always want to strike up a conversation, but I'm also not afraid to start one anymore.
I could run down a list of people, but I have a great support system.
I have to say that connecting with others in a more profound way has really encouraged me to work on my social anxiety and talk to others.
It's very important for me to not live in the past not forecast into the future. Otherwise, I'm not able to focus on the now.
Even if we begin from a position of feeling marginalized or disempowered, that we can hopefully move towards becoming more empowered, and that we as recovery partners can help a person in feeling and moving towards a state of empowerment.
Reaching out for help is the most important thing anybody can do. And understanding and seriously knowing that you're not alone when combating mental health or substance use challenges.
And it might sound cliche, but it does get better. And once I learned to respect myself and no longer run from thoughts or emotions, but face them no matter how difficult it might seem, I feel like I can conquer the world.
Find something inside yourself and then do whatever you can to get it. Once you do get it, reach out and improve it, and never turn away an open hand.
They deserve to feel better, and they deserve to take an active role in their recovery.
Always remember, it's someone else out there. Just reach out your hand. Someone will grab it.
I think if I could pass on one thing to anybody who is watching this video, there is absolutely hope out there. Go out there, find other people in the recovery community, get the help you need. Don't give up on yourself. Don't think, you know what, maybe recovery will work for other people, but it's not gonna work for me. Why not you? Why can't you get it too? And you can. You just gotta be willing to ask for help and be open to the suggestions of other people who have been there before you.
So I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you have learned a little bit more about recovery. So tonight we're going to hear from individuals on this stage, and they will be sharing their stories and talent. We have some really amazing people here who are courageous enough to step up and speak out about recovery in regard to their own lived experience with mental health and substance use in order to help educate the community, as well as to help people understand that we can and do recover. So to start us off this evening, Christine Gabster is going to first share a few words, and then she's going to perform an original song titled On Common Ground. Common Ground.
It was a Friday. I was in 3rd grade, and we had a substitute teacher. He did a lot of cool things, but really there was one thing that he did that changed me forever. He played a record of music, instrumental music, the likes of which I've never heard before, and I haven't heard it since. I've tried to find it. He told us to close our eyes and to let the music paint pictures in our minds. The next day I wrote my first song. Music is a mainstay for me. It's really one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent aspects of my life. It has seen me through violence, grief, tranquility, and has been with me in times of joy and abysmal despair. It's my closest friend when I'm doing well in my recovery, and my manna in the wilderness when I'm not. This piece is something that I wrote about my sense of connectivity with the others in women's shelter while I was living there. All of them together and now they are not like the rest, though they see it as some shadow test. Forever they will walk on common ground. Yes, forever we will walk on common
Thank you, Christine. And so next we're going to have Sherry Coles, and she's going to share part of her journey titled Okay After All.
Hi. I am 61 and a half years old, and for the latter half of my life, I've had a lot of recovery thanks to a lot of help, mostly right here in Arlington County, Virginia. But I'm finally recovering from depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, drug abuse, and post-traumatic stress. Recovery for me means that I finally learned how to keep these problems from controlling my life. Back in the day, because of trauma and living in fear and despair, some of my high school teachers took notice and they tried to help me. Through a court order, my mom was to take me to psychiatric appointments, but she chose to end my therapy about halfway through the first session. By the time I became an adult, I had learned to hide my problems and symptoms pretty well until around age 30. That's when a lot of bad things were happening to me at the same time. Stress at work, problems with family and friends, bad memories were back, and then I was introduced to crack cocaine, which I used off and on for about 2 years. I even smoked PCP once, and it made me hallucinate so badly that I sat for about 30 minutes watching Diana Ross and the Supremes perform live in the middle of my living room, all the while wishing they were the Jackson 5 because that was my favorite music group. So that was it. No more drugs for me. Drug abuse made my life so much worse that I ended up in psychiatric hospitals on and off for a lot of years. Then one day, my therapist referred me to Clarendon Clubhouse, a day treatment program at Arlington County Behavioral Health Care. By the way, I wear my shades so that people don't seem so intense to me. Anyway, when I got there, this lady named Becky Wright interviewed me. After introducing herself, she asked me, "Girlfriend, are you going to take those sunglasses off?" I just ignored her because I didn't even want to be there, and I didn't take my shades off, but she just kept talking and talking and talking. She was kind of loud too, which was good because it helped me pay attention to what she was saying. Sometimes she was funny too, which helped me get, feel comfortable enough to get through the interview. As I was leaving, I thought, this seems like a nice place. So I became a member, and within a few months, my life began to improve and my hospital stays virtually ended. The staff put me on a mission, and sometimes I thought the mission was impossible, but they would always change my mind. Sometimes they got on my nerves though, making sure I took my meds, trying to convince me that I could live independently again, teaching me to be assertive so people would stop taking advantage of me, and showing up at my apartment when all I wanted to do was isolate. And they helped me get the apartment in the first place. But I'm still a member, and I'm thankful that they offered the kind of help that I needed. I'm thankful for all the help I've gotten over the years, from hospitals, day treatment programs, psychiatrists, therapists, case managers, advocates, peers, charity groups, and my dog, the late Precious Joy Coles. Since my recovery started, I take better care of myself. I have my own apartment again. My relationships with people have improved. I'm assertive, and I do good things and have good fun, especially when I hang out with the Clarendon Social Club. For instance, the Clarendon Social Club is run by this really nice lady named Robin Coles. Same as my last name, but hers has a W. Once we visited a nursing home and offered our handmade greeting cards, and we played bingo, and we just chilled out with the senior citizens. We frequent museums and restaurants and shopping malls. We've attended a play at the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. And sometimes we attend the Nationals baseball games as well as arena football games in our nation's capital. Thanks to some specific groups and classes like art therapy, computer training, creative writing, and cooking skills, I now have hobbies that I can really get into. So now when I get home, I don't have much time to stare at the walls or sleep. I have stuff to do. I continue to have minor setbacks, but with all the help that I receive, my life keeps getting better. All I had to do was stop believing that I was stuck and could not be helped, accept the help, do some work, and enjoy. Recovery is not as hard as I thought it would be, and sometimes it's even fun. I've always felt that I was supposed to be a real person, and now I feel like I've gotten closer to being who I otherwise would have become. And now I do feel like I'm a real person most of the time, thanks to people who like to help people. And I feel so grateful that now I want to give back, and I will. More and more, I feel like I'm going to be okay after all. I hope everyone feels like they will be okay after all. It's really a good feeling to be okay after all.
Thank you, Sherry. Now Eric Laura is going to share some of his recovery journey titled Prosperity.
Good evening, everyone. About 5 years ago, I was in the worst place ever in my life. I was in a dark place all alone. I didn't know what to do. I kept trying to get out of that dark place, but couldn't. It eventually led me into trouble with the police. It wasn't until then I began to get help. I was sent to the Northern Virginia Mental Health Institute, which is an inpatient hospital. There I found out I was struggling with schizophrenia. That pretty much explained why I was hearing so many voices inside and outside of my head. Even with the treatment, support, and medication, it is still a struggle for me every day. Now, 5 years later, I am in a better place. I have a very good support system, a better way of seeing things, and being positive has helped me out of that dark place. And knowing that I will not be going back to where I was 5 years ago is a big relief. Currently, I am looking for ways to give back to the community. Events such as these and volunteer work are things that I am doing not only to better myself, but to also help out others.
Thank you, Eric. And next, we're going to have Patricia McKee and Larry Frazier. They're going to share a few words, and then they're going to perform an original song called True to His Word.
Darling, darling,
Hi, my name is Larry Frazier. Together we perform as Frazier McKee. We both have a history of a recovery journey. We met each other and bonded through music. And now we come together to write and perform original songs. This is an original song that's not necessarily autobiographical.
Darling, don't forget what you say, 'cause I'll think about it every day. I need a man who's true to his word. I don't much like it unseen and unheard. Well, you know me, I'm the brunette who lives next door. You know the one with the voice you adore. Maybe one day you'll marry me. Maybe one day we'll have a family. Whoa, 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 we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Oh, we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Well, my mama married a soldier. He was as true could be. He bore the world upon his shoulders, but she liked that quality. Now that is what I look for when searching for a man. And if he ain't all about that, well, I just don't understand. Oh, we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Oh, we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Out of the night into the day. Baby, remember what you say. Be true to your word. That way you'll be heard. Oh, we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Oh, we're just a few feet away, out of the night and into the day. Out of the night and into the day. Out of the night and into the day.
Okay, thank you so much, Patricia and Larry. And next we have Gloria Mora Sheffer, who's going to share some of her journey titled Faith Over Fear.
I'm Gloria, and I want to share my journey of desperation and anxiety. When I was growing up, my life was full with panic and fear. Even from the minute that I woke up, and I would be in school, and I would look at the clock and count the hours before I had to be back home. And I lived like that for many years. By the time I started drinking when I was 13 and using drugs. And I know it's because I was trying to cope with the fear, even though I knew I was, there was some anxiety still there. But that was my way of coping. By the time I was 32, I found myself in the hospital with the left side of my body paralyzed. I was depressed, and my life was in this way. I was diagnosed with MS, and I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to write again. I had to begin all over again. And then I started getting treated for the MS and for the depression. I knew that my behavior was not only harming myself, but I was also wasting my daughter. And something had to be done. Thus began my road to recovery. before leaving the hospital, the only way that they would let me out of the hospital, because I didn't want to, when I went into the hospital, as soon as they were going to let me go, I went into the psych ward because I did not want to live. And that took a long journey because even talking to the doctor, I didn't even want to talk to her because I didn't want him to talk to me out of living again. So I had to go into day treatment, which is now called Clubhouse, before I could even go home. So I entered that program, and then I discovered that my drinking was my most ridiculous obstacle for my recovery. They suggested that I clean the house, just started, I go to the groups, go to the programs, because I didn't want to be around people. So I started learning the tools that they were showing me and teaching me. I went to the library, I went to bookstores, and I started reading self-help books. I attended seminars, and I learned about spirituality. And I started reading books about taking my life, because my life was a mess. It was just really bad. And I wanted to become a better person. I was going through some hard times and situations, and I felt myself getting on my knees. And I asked God to please change my life. Just change me, because I was afraid I was not going to make it. And asked this change me completely to help me. And during this time, I also ended up going to rehab by drinking and drug abuse. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was just really bad for me. After some time, I began to feel much better, and I knew that I had to make God the first thing in my life, the most important thing in my life. I started to go to church. The Mormon missionaries came knocking my door, and I opened the door, and they just wanted to share scripture, and I said, "Sure, come on in." And I started going to church with them, and the people were they were super nice, and I liked them all, and I started learning with them and all that. So I started with God first. I started to go to the classes, learning about God, and by reading I just made that my number one thing, and that started changing me. I started to like myself, and I started meeting people from they ended up going back to the clubhouse, and I've met some really great people. Some of my best friends are in there, and staff. When I was in art class, and I wanted to use the computer, so I asked if I could use it, and they said you got to go to Cleveland House to ask. They said the only way you can use the computer is if you're a member. So I got my therapist to give me a referral. And once I walked through that door, I was shocked, because the staff was so nice. Everybody came up to introduce themselves, and it was a take experience for me. And now I see God working in my life. He places people in my path that I can help, or that I learn something from, and even though the journey has been long and painful, today I can look back with pride and satisfaction at all my accomplishments. I'm a more understanding person. I'm more compassionate. I'm a good listener. And I think my experience has taught me to be there for people, just to help them find the solution, not get stuck in the problem, or just when they do something good. It's like the greatest commandment is to love God with your heart, mind, and soul, and the second one is to love your neighbor as yourself. So it's like I love, I care for people and all that. And then did I completed the peer specialist training, and I'm hoping to help other people, and I hope and hope to begin helping other people in the near future. And I want to read a prayer, which is St. Francis' prayer. And it says, "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. There's darkness, light, where there's sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. And next we have Bonnie Brunson, and she's going to share what she titles "I've Traveled a Journey."
Hello, I'm Bonnie Brunson, and this is my recovery story. The early signs for me was when I started grammar school in Washington, D.C. in 1969, where there wasn't any special education classes. And I was kept back once in the first, and I was kept back once in the first grade and once in the second grade. I was slow in getting my work done. I was slow in understanding and grasping things. I had difficulty in concentrating and paying attention. It wasn't until 1977 when we moved to Virginia, where the schools here do have special education classes. It was here where I was first evaluated, and it was here it was also here where my mom and I learned from my Virginia school teachers that I had a learning disability. And these were some of the early indications that I was having difficulties, and later realized that I also suffered with some mental health issues. I moved from where I was to where I am now through medications, therapy, and most of all, prayers. I learned not to let myself get distracted so easily by using coping skills, which helps me to manage the things around me. Others, like my mom and my pastor, taught me the importance of having a spiritual connection with God. To having, a spiritual connection with God, where I am today. To get where I am today, I overcame self-esteem issues. What I learned about myself since being in recovery is I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm fun. I've got a smile on my face, and I make the whole world a much lovelier place. I've learned how to manage my anger. I'm growing up, and I'm proud of myself. My strengths and skills that I have developed are strong coping skills, such as I go to my classes, I take more interest in things, I like puzzles, games, DVDs, and I'm learning how to express myself through art. I'm doing more cooking and can find my way around the metro extremely well. And I learned to use some relaxation techniques. The things I do to keep myself on the right path is I always make sure that I take my medications as prescribed and keep my scheduled appointments with my psychiatrist. My recovery story has changed my plans and hopes for the future by giving me a reason to believe I can do anything that I set my mind to do, because I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Philippians chapter 4 and 13th verse. I have gained a lot of knowledge I have gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom over the years and have become more focused and relaxed since being in recovery. Having plans to finally get myself organized to get my driver's license and a job, a car, and to go back to school and get my degree in art therapy, education, child care, and a vet technician. Since my recovery, I'm gradually letting go of the past, and like it says in the scripture, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. Luke chapter 22, verse 43. I wrote a poem that expresses how far I've come, which is called I've Traveled a Journey. And it says, I've traveled a journey, so long, hard, and rough, a road which was dark and gloomy that made me strong and tough. Now I see the world, God's creation, as a different place where everything is beautiful to me and my heart is filled with love, peace, and happiness by his sweet and loving grace. Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I am so blessed. With this in mind, I'll be a success. I will reach my potential and fulfill my goals as I dream the impossible. With a destiny not far, I will continue to reach for that star, and that star is Jesus. My recovery through the Lord has helped me to feel reborn, revived, and anew, because I am God's seed who was made in the image of God as the rose. Just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the sea that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. And next we have Lolita Coleman, and she's going to share Who I Am When No One Is Looking.
Hello, my name is Lolita, and I'm a grateful covenant addict. Who am I when no one looking? Ooh! I could be sneaky. I could do dolphin move. You don't have to use to do dolphin move. I could be very sneaky by looking in your face and smile at you and stab you in your back at the same time. I could be the type of person think I'm all the way up here and bring you down low. And for real, y'all, that's me the whole time down low. I could be the type of person trying to manipulate. When I say manipulate, I mean I could do stuff and slide on the side and get the other person in trouble, and I think it ain't me. But the whole time it's me. See, I got to be real with myself today, y'all. And how I be real with myself, I work on my behavior. It's not about using, because you got to worry about that manipulating way. So I am a better person today, y'all. Today I have a job. Thanks for whole J&M, the Job Avenue people. I take my medicine ongoing. I know how to treat people the way I want to be treated. It's not maybe every day, but I try my best to treat you better. See, I got to be honest about that, see? I have my own apartment today. My job loved me today. I love them too when it comes to payday. time I was feeling, I didn't want nobody to know I'm at the clubhouse. But I'm glad I'm at the clubhouse, because Becky White get on my nerves sometimes. But she helped me. The staff helped me. My peers helped me. And when they helped me, y'all, I mean, it's like a ball game. They got here start from the first to the second, the third, and hit me home run. But I thank God for Arlington County mental health place, because for me, I didn't want to take no medicine. I thought I was all that. But I'm a bipolar person. And today, I don't care who knows that. As long as I'm getting the help and I'm happy with myself as well as I'm happy with another person, I'll be delighted to help you. So when I help you, I'm helping myself too. Amen. You know what I'm saying? I thank God for the new going around Lolita. I don't have to say who am I when no one looking no more. Because I reached out for help today. And with y'all, have a blessed night.
Okay, thank you, Lolita. And now, last but not least, if I can get that. Yeah. Last but certainly not least is Kayla Criswell, who will be performing Open Your Eyes by Victory.
Okay. Good evening, guys. My name is Kayla Criswell. People have an idea of what mental illness looks like. I want people to open their eyes. Mental illness affects even the happiest of people, including me. I come off as pleasant and funny and confident. However, mental health does not discriminate against class, gender, age, or race. I grew up with an extremely loving, supportive family. I studied music at Creative and Performing Arts from age 11 until I graduated high school. My future looked bright. But just like any other organ in the body, there can be an imbalance. During my ailments, I lost the passion for not only music, but for life. It has now been 2 years since my second admittance to the hospital due to anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic attacks, self-harm, and suicidal ideation. It has now been a year since I was moved into my family home to begin my recovery treatment with NAMI and the excellent Department of Human Services. I live a little bit, peer specialist, therapist, a housing specialist, job specialist, and a psychiatrist. I mean, just that's a full team. I wouldn't be here without you guys, so thank you that I get to look at and see every one of you. Thank you. This song reflects my recovery back to the music. The struggle of being joyful while battling defeating thoughts. It is not only a plea for you to open your eyes, but also to my anxious self, to give back that drive and passion I once had for life, for me and for Kayla. I wanna fly beyond the sky, higher than where the airplanes glide. I wanna sail the 7 seas and maybe visit all the countries. And I want you to come along. Life is better when you're not alone. And we might make a very good team, and we could reach our every dream. But you always got something sad to talk about. Always walking with a heart full of doubt. You don't seem to see all of the possibilities. And I want to make you happy. I want you to be free. But there always seems to be forces of gravity just weighing you down. And I want you to fly with me. So darling, won't you open your eyes? How could you be so blind to the beauty of life? It's everywhere, so won't you dare open your eyes? How can you be so blind to the beauty of life? It's everywhere, so won't you dare to open your eyes? But you don't even believe in yourself enough. You always settle when things get tough. You don't seem to know all of your potential. And I want to make you happy. I want you to be free. But there always seems to be forces of gravity weighing you down. And I want you to fly with me. So darling, won't you open your eyes? How can you be so blind to the beauty of life? It's everywhere, so won't you dare open your eyes? How can you be so blind to the beauty of life? It's everywhere, so won't you dare open your eyes? Won't you open your eyes? Won't you open your eyes? It's everywhere, so won't you dare to open your eyes?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kayla. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. Thank you to all of our presenters. And I really hope that you've been inspired this evening and seen some great examples of recovery, lots of talent and lots of great stories. And on your way out, please be sure to pick up an inspirational stone as a reminder of the courageous people you heard this evening and the inspiration of hope for recovery. Thank you.